Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Krishnendu back with Onikendu to host your International Cop Connect program of Bengal Cop. It's been a long time. Onikendu da বহু দিন হয়ে গেল. So Onikendu is basically joining us from Singapore again. অনেক রাত হয়ে গেছে for our viewers to let them know that it's almost what 11:30 over there. So
Yeah,
it's
11:30 out
গ্যাপ
here.
ছিল না প্রায় 3-4 মাসের গ্যাপ ছিল. There was something going on for
Uh,
Bengal Cop, but we are
yeah.
back again. So how you feeling, Onikendu?
Yeah, like as I was telling you, right? It's a big match, and this Cop Connect of this is a big watch. So now a lot of things are happening with our Bengal Cop Academy as well. That
Right.
was the primary reason why we had a gap for this Cop Connect program. So now that
Exactly.
we are back for good. And obviously, there's a lot of excitement with going ahead to this match because Manchester United has truly and indomitably proven and played real good football to stand where they are right now. So now it's all or nothing, I guess, from here, as they say.
Exactly. I mean, reigning champions facing the champions who have won it, won a lot of trophies for the last 20 years or so. I mean, this is the match that we have been all waiting for the entire season. Liverpool has, I mean, they have been dominant all through the season and they deserve to be where they are. And
Yeah, I
United
guess so.
also deserve to be where they are despite all the penalties they get. I think they played good football, and that's something that this position is just a result of the hard work they've been trying to do for the past 1.5 years under Ole. So let's take it forward from there. Aurigando, do you want to introduce the
Yeah,
first guest?
yeah, sure. As like everybody knows, the venue for this exciting match is Anfield. So Liverpool's hosting. So I would love to call our Liverpool panelist for the night, and let us welcome Saubhagya from Delhi, a very passionate Liverpool supporter and a true copite on all respects. Welcome, Saubhagya. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
Welcome.
Vanshendu. Hi, Krishnendu. How are you guys?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you feeling about Sunday?
I think the thrill is too much. I mean, I can't remember being so psyched about a fixture in the past 1 year. Like, because the last season we were sort of mentally we were slightly relaxed because we knew how we were and everything, and Ole's team was doing their work. But now it is something which is just, it's come down to where they're breathing on our necks. Although it's temporary
Oh,
because Leicester was also at the top of the table at one point of time. So, but then it's pretty exciting. Man United versus Liverpool, it's that fixture you just wait for the whole season. For us Liverpool fans, it's something always to look forward to. No matter how the form or whatever the condition of the team is. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think it's going to be big.
of course, of course. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a match that is
So.
bigger in status across all over England, but apart from El Clasico, I think people all over the world have started following this match thoroughly, religiously. I mean, Real Madrid, Barcelona obviously is a very big fixture, but apart from the real Manchester United versus Liverpool, that's a huge fixture, not just for England fans across the world. We stay awake quite a late and watch our favorite team play. That's something we do every week, every month. It's like we are prepared to lose our sleep, ready to go to office late, get a bashing from our bosses, but we can't miss our matches. So while we are talking about this match, we would like to call in Krishna Dev Roy. Krishna Dev Roy is an ardent and a rational United supporter, like we are going to describe him in this show. Something it's
Yes,
very difficult to find. Welcome, Krishna Dev. How are you?
Welcome,
I'm
Krishnadev.
good. I'm good. How are you all? Good to be here. Very excited.
We are all
Nice,
excited
nice.
about you taking part. Thank you for invitation. So I think just it's going to be a very good match Sunday, even if whatever the results might be. So just going back to Saubhagya, Krishna, you might have to wait a bit. We'll come back to you. Saubhagya, just you are a Liverpool supporter. Of course, it's not something that started a year back or a couple of years back. When did it start? First of all, you'd like to little bit know about your history of being a Liverpool supporter, which like what made you fall in love with the club when you actually started supporting Liverpool?
To be very honest, I think nepotism played a good role here. My elder brother, he's a Liverpool fan. He's 6 years elder to me, and I pretty much grew up watching football. My entire family, they're pretty inclined towards sports. So, I had the beautiful exposure of being able to watch TVG in a manner that my brother used to always, just carry me along. I used to stay up. I didn't even understand anything at the time when the miracle of Istanbul happened. I was like, what, 9 or 10. But then I think it was when I was in seventh standard that, I just started watching more attentively. And then I fell in love with Stevie G and Fernando Torres' romance and, the whole chemistry that they had. And then, that there's a sense of belonging to Liverpool, I think as a fan, you understand that the entire concept of the club, how the fans are, how passionately they support the whole club. And because they weren't the most glorious of times when I started supporting Liverpool. I remember being bashed up in school because everybody used to mock us, and all my classmates and everyone, they were Man United fans, and that was the golden time for them, I think. So it was just that I felt that I belonged to that club, and of course, because of my brother. So I think, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice, nice. I mean, pretty much, I should say, like bloodline following of Liverpool. So
Yeah.
that's indeed, yeah, great to hear. So just moving over to Krishnodev. So Krishnodev, we understand that Manchester United versus Liverpool is always a romance, a fixture, a game which is much more than a game. So I'm pretty sure, like you must have had memories of this match way back. So if you can like walk through some of your special moments or special memories which you had of this particular fixture earlier on your days of supporting United.
Yeah, right. So I think I'll pick up on something that Saubhagya said, where nepotism played a big part in my following of United. So I was inspired by my uncle who used to follow United very ardently. Other than that, I mean, talking about the big clubs in England, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, City was not there back then, Arsenal. And the time that I started watching football, English Premier League, was the time around 2006 7. So ESPN Star Sports used to only focus on the big teams. It's not like today when even if Sheffield
Yeah.
is getting lot mileage. So I mean, in terms of support, it was always going to be one of the big teams. It was only a matter of which team I had a connect with, and then Wayne Rooney came about. So he had a huge influence on my football watching career, if I may say. And talking about Liverpool United fixtures, I think one of my earliest memories of this fixture was that thrashing that United received at Old Trafford when Steven Gerrard scored and Ryan Babel scored. I don't know who else scored. And then I don't know. It was I think
So you've
2008.
lost count already.
Yeah, I've lost count. So it's a bad memory. So I think we won the league that year, but we got a thrashing. So it's a bittersweet thing. So it was one of my earliest memories. And then going forward, obviously there was a time when Van Gaal came and always beat Liverpool day or night. And then I remember the Anthony Martial debut also during
Yeah.
Van Gaal's era.
Amazing.
There was uh, there was that game when I think at Anfield when United was trailing 1-0 or it was 0-0, I'm not sure. And Rooney got the winner after 10 years or 12 years after playing at Anfield. That was very close to my heart.
Indeed.
Right. So that's like we have got more or less a very balanced outcome in the last 15 years, slightly tilted towards United's favor in terms of results. But we have very good results coming from like obviously that 4-1 victory at that Suarez time when Suarez was bombarding United defense, but he couldn't get a goal. I mean, Gerard got three penalties, scored two of them. That was our time to be like the songs were all about us. So just thinking about memories, there's one thing that came to my mind, like my personal earliest memories was also of like that 4-1 victory. That's basically I think who has scored Gerard scored, Torres scored. Dosena scored, and there's one more player who scored, I think. The count, is it?
Kart or Engo?
And probably whoever it is. So the point is, I was
Yes, it was
invited.
no.
I was probably in class uh, 11, I guess. So that is when my friend, who was an United fan, he invited me to his house. He didn't call me to his house. He invited me to his house. तुम गोल भी खाओ, खाने भी खाओ, सब बहुत कुछ मिलेगा. So he invited me to his house. I watched the game. I saw the first goal scored by Ronaldo, and then I was like, obviously, I have to go home with a very sad face and all. But then
आज
we
तो
won
खाना भी
4-1.
मिलेगा।
बहुत कुछ मिला, खाने को भी मिला, और गोल भी खिलाया सबको. So apart from that, what's the biggest outcome of the match was he stopped being a United supporter after that, and till now he has been a Chelsea supporter. So that has been the
Oh,
trauma of that guy since then. So that's been a disaster. Now he hates United. Every time we meet, I like the guy who invited me for United game is a hardcore Chelsea supporter now. Obviously, we'll talk about Chelsea later on, but that's the impact Liverpool had on a United supporter. Yeah, it's changed his religion completely. That's pretty much his religion.
Then he was probably not a true fan. I'm sorry to say that, but
Yeah,
you
Probably
can't
we are
absolutely.
like.
very young. We just liked whatever seemed glossy. So probably
I know,
those were
but
the
I'm just
time.
saying that even
But,
when I
but
started watching, it wasn't the most glorious time for Liverpool, like I told you. But that
exactly,
never
whatever
meant
changed our.
that that we just changed the club. It was always easier to support United when I was growing up, or for that matter, even Madrid and Barca, they have always attracted a lot of fans because generally people hurtle towards glorious clubs, right? But that just never
Obviously, it has
happened.
to be.
I understand that you guys were young, but I'm sorry that I mean like you can't just change your club.
Yeah,
Anyway,
And
I
Saubhagya,
agree.
what about you? I mean, what about your memory as a Liverpool fan? Like any match memories, any player memory, anything that you want to share when you was like started supporting Liverpool?
like with Man United or in general.
In just a good Liverpool memory to share with us.
I think I've been supporting them for like 13 years, or if I should say 14 now that we're finally in 2021. But the best memory would obviously be when we beat Barcelona at Anfield in the UCL semi-final. I mean, I've been through countless games of football and watched the most intense of games, but that night at Anfield, that will always be the most magical night that I've seen, and that will always be even more special than the UCL title lift that we had, because that night it was something that actually showed why we are Liverpool and the fact that how powerful Anfield is. That night we didn't have the odds on our side. Everybody was obviously skeptical because it was Barca, and you guys remember that beautiful free kick Messi had taken in the first leg, and it was just amazing that nobody expected us to do what we did. But then the mentality monsters were at it. Jurgen's
Oh, of
lad with the
course.
heavy metal football. I still remember I was at a party and I was like, I won't watch the game, yeah, it's too painful. I just can't do it anymore. And but obviously you can't not watch the game. It's too tempting. And I watched the game and I just remember crying like a 2-year-old kid that, oh my God, this is one of the most beautiful moments I've had as a Liverpool fan. It was even better than the UCL title. I'm being very honest here. That night
That
was
was a
just,
Yeah,
boring
it was.
match,
It
I
was.
think. That final match was not
I
that
know it
interesting.
was so boring. It's like I think it has been rated or voted as the most boring UCL final ever. I mean,
It's like
although
Yeah,
Seinfeld. I don't know whether you're a Seinfeld fan, but it's like Seinfeld's finale was not as good as the semi-finale. So it's just you just switch off the episodes like that.
yeah, so I think it will be that magical night at Anfield when Barca was put back into their place very nicely. So yeah, that's gonna be it. That'll be my best memory as a Liverpool fan.
yep. Great. Sweet memories there, definitely. Yeah, so and talking about memories, I believe there's a very special thing between Manchester United and Liverpool fixture. That is, I think back in 2011 or 2012, I met Krishnendu on the day of Manchester United and Liverpool match, which Liverpool happened to win 1-0 via Daniel Sturridge header. So even we have our connect over
Even
Liverpool.
do the Doomsday dance.
Oh yes, yes.
Yes,
What a prolific
yes, yes,
striker he was. And that was a big screening, one of the biggest screenings
yes.
for Bengal Cup over there. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. So coming back to this season, honestly, what I feel is that this season, United. I mean, for the last 4 or 5 seasons, to be very honest, United was not the United that we know. I guess Krishnodev would agree with me up to some extent. But this season, we see a lot of hope and a lot of promise with Ole taking charges. So, Krishnodev, what do you feel about this season? How optimistic are you about it? Honestly, from my point of view, I really, really see Manchester United now as one of the top two teams. So what are your
Uh,
thoughts on that?
I think in a word, United is currently overachieving. That's my honest assessment. And given the quality of this side and the, I mean, lack of experience and lack of tactical acumen that Ole has. So in that respect, yeah, we are overachieving. It's probably the spirit that it's getting them through games. One good thing that I like about the team is that, I mean, the fact that there was a time when United always won towards the end. You counted on late winners and all, even if it's an equalizer. You knew the late goal is coming. So of late, we are seeing that kind of a mentality creeping into the team. That okay, we might not play great, but at least we can get a point out of a game, or even 3 points. Like we saw West Ham,
First
at
time.
least the away games, West Ham, Southampton, all those games. Even I think the couple of nights ago, the game against Brighton, no, who was that? Who was the opponent? Aston Villa or somebody. So we found a winner. I mean, Burnley, sorry. So we found a winner. We didn't play particularly well. The second half was good, but yeah, we found a winner and we hung on to the result. So that is something that the team was struggling to do even under Jose, Van Gaal, Moyes, whoever. So in that respect, yeah, we are overachieving. And if you talk about us being contenders, yeah, it's flattering, but it's that kind of season. I mean, we are top of the table right now, but you never know how long it lasts. I mean, Southampton, Everton, and Arsenal have been top of the table this season. So, and
Especially,
City also has a game in hand. So, I think it's yeah. I mean, given the situation, United definitely should finish in the top four without any hiccups. That is my minimum expectation out of the team. Anything beyond that is a bonus. Top two would be great. Being champions would be the best thing ever. So, I mean, still there's 21 games to go, so you never know what happens.
Yeah, sure, I agree. I mean, what you said out there, I totally second you. That hunger to get back from a position where you are not getting a point, or like where you're getting a point and you want to convert that to 3 points. I think that was a huge thing, which made Liverpool win the league last year. I mean, if you look at the number of times Liverpool has been in a position where there are like 10 minutes to go, and it's a 1 point game and they've converted it to a 3 point game. So that I think, yeah, and what Krishnadev said, that creeping into Man United is actually, it's like the spirit is emboiling, that they are coming to that point where they can really really be title contenders. I totally agree with you, Krishna.
Right, right. So
So
obviously, I mean, looking at Liverpool, Saubhagya, this is for you. Liverpool for the last 3 seasons have been playing well, obviously. This season, there has been like some questions about Liverpool's scoring abilities, keeping fit the entire season. There have been so many injury troubles for us. Like we have lost our entire defense practically to like the challenges of like not just normal injuries, but also bad challenges across. So obviously Liverpool and Man City are the so-called top two teams of the Premier League. But with Manchester United coming in, it looks like a 3-4. Even Tottenham is there in the picture. Chelsea has dipped down a below. But thing is, like, do you think that when the Europa League starts, like suppose a couple of months from when United see themselves placed in a position where they might get a trophy, a European trophy, if they focus a lot on Europe and that comes with a Champions League place also. So, do you think that their focus will be a bit distracted from English Premier League, or they will just focus on? Will they be able to? I don't think they have the squad. What do you think, Saubhagya?
I think with the Premier League, so this season, it's been such a gamble that you really cannot predict any game. We all had certain notions when the season started that, we probably thought that Liverpool is going to attack the title, like Klopp had said. And we also had, when Chelsea made those grocery list signings, we were like, oh my God, Chelsea, so they'll just, fill it this year. So I think this season has been extremely unpredictable, but the one thing that is consistent throughout the season is Man United. Somehow they've just managed to pull through. I think they have 11 games unbeaten, if I'm not wrong, including the
Yeah.
Burnley game in the Premier League, and they have been just constantly work towards playing it. And obviously Bruno Fernandes and VAR is still a better love story than Twilight, so you can't really deny that. But I think with Europa coming up and but like having their focus shift here and there, I think they will kind of waver. And of course, it does make a difference because for the past 1.5 years, Solskjaer has been trying really hard to just maintain his form because we all always see he's under so much scrutiny all the time. You never know with Solskjaer. One moment they're like Ole might just lose the wheel, and then he'll just manage to pull a win and save his job somehow. So I think that it's actually not really so clear that you never really know. But yeah, once you're in multiple competitions and you're just trying to really balance it out there, it gets pretty difficult. And I think United lacks the depth right now, to be very honest, to be able
Right.
to sustain that some sort of a squad rotation and something like that. So I think it's going to be some like sort of a hurdle for them, but again, you never know.
Yeah,
I
but
think
like, I mean, yeah, I guess they have pretty much depth in terms of bench. At least I believe, because you have like people like Van de Beek and Cavani coming off the bench. Also, like Luke Shaw getting rotated with Teles. So bench-wise, I think United have done a good job with respect to their squad depth. But what Saubhagya said regarding Europa, yes, probably that is slightly true.
yes, I mean we are talking about this thing. So recently, there's very breaking news kind of thing that popped up just even half an hour back. Is that Krishnadev? I think one of your favorite players, Wayne Rooney, just announced his retirement. So
Yeah.
I think you're wearing a Rooney jersey right now. If you can
Yes.
show it
Yes.
to the team, it's all right. I mean,
I mean,
you can proudly
I'll
flaunt.
turn around at the end of the episode if I remember.
Okay, cool. That's the
A bit of hard
testimonial
work.
to your one of your favorite. So it's like what a
Nice.
celebrated career. I mean, back in 2003, 4, he started his career. It's been a very glorious episode for him. The entire English team used to be relying on him for a certain period of time, even with Steven Gerrard Lampard over there. It was Rooney who
Being a
was the
scouser,
consistent.
being a scouser.
Right. So obviously Rooney. Any thoughts on that? Rooney retiring and taking charge of Derby, Krishna there?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I think Rooney had mentioned a couple of seasons ago when he was in US that he has aspirations to become manager one day and do it for a long time. So no surprises there. And the situation, obviously, it's an emergency alarm bells ringing situation at Derby. So he's taking over, already taken over as player coach. So I mean, it's not FIFA, so you can't be manager and player at the same time. It's very difficult. So and he knows more than anybody else that obviously his best days are behind him. He's not the player he was, and he'll probably be better off coaching and wearing the jacket every day than running onto the pitch. And I'll be reading a bit about him in the games that he's managed alone. And some people say that he has a good tactical sense how to set teams up. He's a very traditional English minded person who sets defenses strongly and then starts from the back and goes forward as a unit. So we'll have to see how good he is as a manager, as a coach. But as a player, I mean, there's no question about him. I mean, he's my favorite player aside. I mean, I think he's the most selfless player I've seen ever. I mean, his selflessness is one of his downfalls. The fact that he could say yes to any situation. Yeah, I'll play at CDM. I'll play at left back if
Yeah.
needed. So that's what's maybe probably his only negative aspect, that managers always knew that if I ask Rooney to play an ad hoc role just for a couple of games, he'll do it. And he never was a first or a first choice striker. He always had somebody to support, be it Nistelrooy or Ronaldo or Tevez or Van Persie or whoever. Even Luis Saha was the primary striker. He was never the primary striker. And despite being the second striker or a CAM, to have 250 goals for a club is like insane. And in England, I mean, I know in La Liga 250 goals is peanuts. So it's insane. I mean, the contribution he's had on English football and United in general. I just wish that I started watching football a bit earlier, so that I would probably had caught his early days when he burst onto the scene at Everton. We always see that goal against Arsenal when he scored on his debut or first Premier League appearance. But then, yeah, I mean, the fact that I got to watch around 20, 90% of his career properly, it's a great thing for me. Even though I'm not an England fan, I sometimes wished England had done a bit well in the World Cups and the Euros just for him.
Right, staying on an United player right now, we have someone who deserves a mention. I mean, this a pandemic is going on, and being a footballer in this current situation, and also almost practically looking after the entire young, I mean, population of England, Marcus Rashford. I mean, he is not just a Manchester United player; he's an English hero right now. So, Saubhagya, being a
Yes.
Liverpool fan, you might have heard that there's a banner that's going to go up on at Anfield, thanking Marcus Rashford for his contributions. What do you have to say about this great English man? I mean, great man who's looking after so many people right now.
I think first of all, I'm extremely proud that, Liverpool is going to put up a banner for him, because honestly, it's not about the club or anything, but Marcus Rashford is a hero. It's one of those things that, goes beyond football. You can't just deny it. What he has been doing, and the fact that he's so young at such a young age, that amount of maturity, and to have this vision, to be able to make the government question their ways and change them, it's just incredible. It's absolutely commendable. I think he deserves all the credit and hype that he has. I really, really respect Rashford.
Absolutely.
If you can't love and respect Rashford, I'm sorry, you got your fundamentals wrong here. Like, even in the previous fixtures, I mean, it's unethical. But then, when Rashford scores, I'm like, acha, Rashford ko koi kuch nahi bolega. I'm happy Rashford is scoring somehow. He's just earned that amount of respect and love amongst everybody.
Yeah, he deserves that.
Binded the football community, and in general the communities together. He's doing an incredible job. It's just amazing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think
I
I'd
mean,
like to add one thing about
But we all
Rashford.
ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on.
go ahead, Krishnan.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the
tell me.
fact that he's doing
No, Krishnan, go ahead.
doing so much off the field, and it has not really impacted his footballing ability. So that's the best part of after taking into consideration the entire gamut of things, that he's equally consistent on the pitch and doing stuff off the pitch. I mean, he's half the day on Twitter on non-match days, then going to training, and
Yeah.
then talking to the government bureaucrats, and then coming to the games and scoring. Yeah, I mean, you feel that he can still go up a notch in terms of consistency. I mean, he still misses a lot of chances, be it sitters and all. But that's something that will probably go away soon. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, the consistency he's showing this season, he had a good end. Did not have a good end to last season after the resumption of the season. Anthony Martial took his place, but he started this season very well. I think he's still the top scorer of the Champions League, but our team is out. So that speaks how well he did. So, and in the Premier League also, I think he's got a handful of goals. So he's doing pretty well in all respects. True all rounder.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, above all, above football, above sports, above everything. I mean, as in purely in grounds of humanity, the work that he has done and is continuing to do is nothing. I mean, putting up a banner is just showing a very small piece of token of appreciation. So, I mean, even from everybody at Liverpool or at Bengal Cup, we also really, really thank him for what he has done recently.
Right.
Okay.
So I think we're ready to move on to our second segment of the show. So this is basically one of the most entertaining ones for our viewers because they also try to take part in this through our Facebook comments. So this is the quiz segment where we will have Liverpool versus Manchester United 2 days before the actual match. So since Liverpool Saubhagya belongs to the home team, we'll start with her. I'll just quickly tell you the rules a bit for you guys and also for the viewers. That the first 5 questions will be on Liverpool, asked by me to Saubhagya. The second 5 questions will be on Manchester United, asked by Aniket to Krishnadev. And the third set will be head to head between Liverpool and Manchester United. So each question of the first two segment carry like basically the first thing is like Saubhagya, if she answers it correctly, if her segment, she gets 10 points for her answer. If she gets it wrong, and since it's a difficult question for a Manchester United supporter, if he gets it right, he gets 20 points. So we have our scorer also ready for this. Jeet is handling the entire scoring system from a back end. So we can start with a. So guys, are you guys ready with your notepad and your pen?
Yes.
So it will be 20 seconds on the clock, and Onikendu will be keeping tab of that. Let's just. So we are ready to start, guys. Saubhagya, you ready? Krishna Devi, you ready?
Yep.
I'm ready.
Hear me out. The very first question of the Liverpool segment. European victories in Italy has always been difficult to get away with. Jurgen Klopp obviously was the latest manager to register an USL win in Italy against Atalanta in 2020 in the group stages is for Liverpool. Who was the last Liverpool manager to achieve the same feat? I'll repeat my question before I start the countdown. Jurgen Klopp is the latest manager to register a UCL victory in Italy against Atlanta in 2020 in the group stages. Who was the last manager to achieve the same for Liverpool? Start 20 seconds.
Stop.
Only when I say show. Okay, show both of you.
Rafa Benitez,
Just kind of getting
Hoolier. Krishnadev has written
Hoolier.
Hoolier and
Rafa Benitez is
Saubhagya has written Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez is the correct answer.
Rafa Benitez is the correct answer. It's 10 points for Saubhagya. Well done. We move on to the second question. Hear me out carefully. By scoring in this season's opener against Leeds United, which player did Salah overtake to set a competition record of 35 consecutive wins when scoring? I'll repeat my question. By scoring in this season's opener against Leeds United, which player did Salah overtake to set a competition record of 35 consecutive wins when scoring? Start. 20 seconds.
Stop, guys.
Stop. Can I have your answers, please? Saubhagya hasn't attempted. Krishnadev, you want to show your answer?
Jabi Alonso.
Xabi
Alonso.
Just a guess.
No. It's basically no. It's Wayne Rooney. Basically he's that's Wayne Rooney. I mean, that
I
was
thought
an
it's a
easy
Liverpool
one.
player.
I think it's always easy one. If you could just no.
I was
Anyway, okay. The first answer. The first, basically, when Rafa Benitez defeated Inter Milan back in 2008, 1-0, that was the answer to your first question. And move on to the third one. Which fixture involving, this for Saubhagya, which fixture involving Liverpool has witnessed the most number of goals in the Premier League? It's Liverpool versus whichever. So, which fixture involving Liverpool has witnessed the most number of goals in the Premier League? Go. Liverpool versus
this
which team?
or ever. Like,
In
are
the
you
Premier
talking
League.
about
In the
Ever.
Premier League.
In the Premier League era. Ever. against all the teams that Liverpool has played ever.
Don't show the answers now. Only when we say show it.
Stop.
Saubhagya, you want to show your answer?
Aston Villa. Krishndev, do we have an
Aston
answer
Villa.
from you?
Okay.
Arsenal.
Okay, Arsenal is the correct
Arsenal
answer.
is the correct answer. Krishnadev has opened his account.
Sorry, I think I lost you guys. Is it okay?
It's fine
Is it
for
all
us.
right? Okay, cool. So KD takes the lead over here with 20 points. He answered a Liverpool question. It's 166 goals between Liverpool and Arsenal. So moving on to the fourth question for Saubhagya over here. Post his retirement from football, which Liverpool legend has gone on to manage clubs like Muang Thong United and Brisbane Roar? I'll ask you again. Post his retirement from football, which Liverpool legend has gone on to manage clubs named Muang Thong United and Brisbane Roar? Go. 20 seconds on the clock.
And he is literally a legend, like a legend.
A legend, yes.
Yeah.
Muang Thong United, I think, is a Thailand team, and Brisbane Roar is obviously from Australia. Is it? Indonesia, Thailand, I'm not sure. So, are we ready?
Yeah, it's a Thai team.
Thai team, okay. Saubhagya, your answers, please.
Fowler. Krishnadev, do we have an answer from you?
That's all right, obviously.
Robbie Fowler.
Joyce Bengal.
Joyce Bengal. Okay.
So he's known as
Joy Mohn Bagan.
Kerala Blaster. Right. The answer is Robbie Fowler. That's correct. So it's 20 all between Saubhagya and KD. Moving on to the fifth question of the Liverpool segment. Saubhagya, the last one is for you. Hear me out carefully. Who became the only second player to score in his first two starts in the Champions League for Liverpool? I'll just start. Who became the only second player to score in his first two starts in the Champions League for Liverpool following Robbie Keane back in 2008? So it's a player.
So basically, he's the
Keane.
second player. Yeah, he's the second player to score in two goals in two starts. Like
two starts in the Champions League.
Both the starts in Champions League. Last player to do so was Robbie Keane in 2008. After that, this is the player.
I think we are ready with the answer. Saubhagya, can you show me your answer first? Diogo
Golta.
Oh, we have to give part marking. The spelling is wrong. Sorry. No, that's a correct answer. That's 30 points for Saubhagya. She answered 3 questions correctly. KD at 20. Onikindu, over to you.
Yeah, sure. I would love to ask KD. Okay. So KD, once you're ready.
Yeah, ready.
Good. Okay. So apart from Manchester United, which other club has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer played for and managed in his career as a footballer and a manager?
Stop, guys. Saubhagya, you should also attempt. If Krishnadev gets it wrong, you can get it right. And
one should know to attempt, no?
Stop, you can show your answer.
That's why I wrote Xabi Alonso without knowing anything, just a random guess.
Sure.
You can show your answer, Krishna.
Can you just come a little right?
Molde, yeah.
Yeah, it's Molde Football Club, which is also his first club that he has played professional football for. So yeah, he managed from the year 2011 to 2014 and played in 94 to 96. So that was a great answer indeed. Okay, moving on to the next question. Which famous Manchester United player started his career in a club named Gladsaxe Hero and then went on to play more than 250 matches for United? So this player had started his career in a club named Gladsaxe Hero and then went on to play more than 250 matches for United. Start.
Go. Stop. When we have the answers.
Bobby Charlton, is it? Did you write Bobby
Yeah.
Charlton?
Saubhagya,
Okay.
you can try.
Saubhagya?
I'm not attempting. I have
She's
no
not
Okay.
idea.
trying.
Fine. Okay, it's Peter Schmeichel actually.
Oh, okay.
He started playing in 1981 for Gladsaxe Hero. Okay, so moving on to the next question. This is a pretty simple one, I guess. Who was the first non-British uh, signing or player to play for Manchester United?
Non-British.
Non-British, yeah.
You can
I
give him
can
a
give
hint.
you a
It was,
hint. Yeah, I can
yeah,
give
sure.
you a hint if you want to. You want a hint?
Okay.
Okay. So even though he was non-British, he came up through the United ranks. Like he came up through the academy and then went on to play for United. It's just that he did
Yeah.
not let his nationality go away. I mean, he still represented nationally his original country.
Stop. When we have the answer.
George Best. Carlos Santori. Oh, Carlos Santori is indeed the correct answer. Oh my
Oh
God,
my
that's
God.
brilliant.
Well done, Saubhagya. She has taken over. So that's 20 points
So
for Saubhagya.
yeah,
Such
Carlo
a
Sartori, yeah, basically he was an Italian, but he came up through the United ranks. He was, yeah, his parents migrated to England, and then he went on to play for Manchester United under 23s, and then finally Manchester United. So he was the first ever non-British player. So that's a great answer, I guess. Okay. So next one's going to be a sitter for Krishnadev. When did United win their first domestic double comprising of the League Cup and the FA Cup? In which year?
No, sorry, the league and the FA Cup.
I'm sorry, the League and the FA Cup, not the League Cup and the FA Cup. First domestic double comprising of the League and the FA Cup.
Stop.
I'm very bad at these dates anyway.
92, 93. Saubhagya, did you have anything? 98, 99. So it was in between both of your answers, 95, 96 under
Ah,
Alex Ferguson. Okay, so the last question of the Manchester United segment. So basically, there are three players who has scored. Listen to the question carefully; it's a little long one. There are three players who has scored 9 goals, which is the highest number of goals scored in United and Liverpool clashes. Again, I mean, in this fixture. So one of them is certainly the talismanic Steven Gerrard. The two others are Manchester United players. Who are they?
So it's a part marking question. If you get it right, 5-5.
Yeah, it's a part marking question.
So do you, just a clarification, in the Premier League era or overall?
No, overall. And I can give you a hint if you want. Uh, I mean, it's a relative hint. It's not a direct hint. These two players are, I mean, they don't have a lot of feats to their name. This is the only feat that they have. That they are the high scorers in Manchester United versus Liverpool uh, fixture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people
Start.
know them by this feat only.
Start. 15 seconds.
Yeah, start.
stop?
Yeah, maybe we can give them 5-7 seconds extra because
Sure, sure,
it's
sure,
two
sure.
names.
Cool, cool, cool. All right, I think that's enough. I think Krishnadev, do you have an answer with you?
I'm writing the third name. 1 second.
No, you just have got two names. Two names to
Right.
play.
Very bad
Okay.
handwriting. I can read it out if you want. It's here.
Dennis Irwin
De-
and
Dennis Irwin. What is the first one you wrote?
Mark Hughes.
Mark Hughes and Dennis Irwin. Okay, Saubhagya, did you attempt?
I just wrote one. I don't think it's
if you can
Scholes.
get it one
Okay.
also. Scores. Okay.
No, it is actually George Wall and Sandy Turnbull. Like they played in the era of like 1906 to 1915-19, and like they are. I mean, their only achievement, or rather, I wouldn't say only achievement. They are popularly known for this only. Like they are the top scorers against Liverpool. Both of them have scored 9 goals.
wow.
All
Who's
right,
the other
we'll
one?
move.
I mean, the third one
George
you
Wall
said.
and Steven
No, no,
Gerrard.
The third one was Steven Gerrard. Third one was Steven Gerrard. Yeah.
8 of them were
So we're
penalty
ready?
nights.
Yeah. Oh, we see the banter over here right now. So, TK, we'll move on to the
Okay.
head-to-head round.
Yeah,
Just, I
before
think, a
moving
brief
on to
overview.
the head-to-head round, can we have the scores from our
Yes. So
beloved
the
Jeet?
score is Saubhagya is leading with 50 points, and KD
Okay.
here is with 30 points. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of margin between two guys over here,
Yeah.
and then we can start with the head-to-head. Guys, ready? Both of you will have to answer the questions.
Yeah, so head-to-head, the scoring pattern is like you guys are familiar, right? Like both of you get, then both of you get 10-10 each. If one of you get the full 20 points.
Cool. We are starting. Anfield, October 2009. During United's trip to Liverpool, referee Andrew Mariner sent off two players, one each from either side. Can you name the players sent off in that match? I repeat. Back in 2009, in a match at Anfield, referee Andrew Mariner sent off two players each from both the teams. Name the players. Go.
2 players each.
From
One player
each
each.
team, one.
One player each.
Yeah,
Okay.
two players were shown the red card. You have to name the two players who were shown the red card for that match. Go. 20 seconds on the clock.
I can give a hint which is irrelevant. Fernando Torres scored in that match. Stop.
Have the answers from both of you?
I didn't.
Vidic and
Skirtle.
Skirtle. Saubhagya, do we have anything from you? Okay, no answers. Okay, so
None.
yeah, so
Yeah.
Vidic is one of the correct answers. So it was basically Vidic and Mascherano.
Right. So Krishnadev gets 10 points, is it?
10
for
points.
this?
Yeah, 10 points.
10 points. 10 points. 10 points for this. So moving on to the next question. So we are at 40 for KD and 50 for Saubhagya. The second question: which Manchester United legend features in Liverpool's 100 players who shook the Kop? Which Manchester United legend features in Liverpool's 100 player who shook the Kop? Go. 20 seconds. A Manchester United legend, and he also features in the top 100 players who have played for Liverpool.
Stop,
I think 20
guys.
seconds. Yes.
What did you say? He played for
Yes.
Liverpool.
He played for Liverpool. He's a Manchester United legend.
Oh.
Of course, a Liverpool legend also because he the top 100 players. So, can I have the answers from both of you?
Paul Ince. Saubhagya, we couldn't get your answer. Can you show again?
What?
We couldn't read what you wrote. Can you show again? Busby. Okay, Matt Busby, it is indeed.
Matt Busby is the correct answer. She gets the entire 20 points, a lead of 30 points right now. So Matt Busby is the 89th player in the 100 players who shook the cup. He was
Yes.
obviously a United legend. So
But
moving
he's
on to the
played more than 100 matches for Liverpool.
of course. I mean,
I keep
we give
telling this
equality
to
credit
any
for.
people who says Matt Busby is a legend. I just remind them that he's also played more than 100 matches for Liverpool.
All right. Moving on to the third question of this segment. It's a very close thing that's going on. Paul Ince managed to play for both Liverpool and Manchester United. So he's the second last player before Michael Owen to do this. So Paul Ince managed to play for both Liverpool and Manchester United. However, it was not a direct transfer, and Ince played professional football for another club between playing for these two clubs. Which club are we referring here? So he played for Manchester United before, then he came on to Liverpool, but there's a club he played for in between that two shifts. So which club did he play for? Go, 20 seconds. Paul Ince.
Stop, guys.
Stop, guys. Can I have your answers?
Inter Milan, Inter.
Inter
Yeah,
Milan. That's
both are
10 points
correct.
for both of you. Well done. Very good. So 10 points for each. That's the right answer. So 95 to 97, that's the time he played for Inter Milan, and before that for Manchester United, later for Liverpool. Moving on to the fourth one. Uh, which was the last season that either clubs did a double over another in the Premier League? I'll repeat my question, don't start. Which was the last season that either clubs did a double over another in the Premier League? Go. Which was the season? You have to mention the year. 20 seconds. So one club defeated the other one, both home and away, which was the last time these clubs did it. A lot of good ones, good comments, like a lot of support for KD, Saubhagya on fire. Good one, KD. Come on, KD. Let's a lot of balanced support from both of you.
Okay, stop.
I think that's it. Answers, please. 14-15,
14,
14-15.
15.
I think both of them attempted for. Unfortunately, the right answer
Yeah,
is 15-16.
16.
It's Manchester United winning both the matches 3-0 and 0-1 Danfield.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, 3-1 at Old Trafford. I think that was a Benteke overhead kick, that one goal. So
No,
back
no.
then.
Yeah, it was, I think, Martial's debut. So, 3-1.
Martial's debut. But yeah, 3-1. But
3-1.
Benteke was 2-1.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, cool.
same game. Same game,
Benteke's
yes.
was 2-1.
Sorry. Okay, so the scores are Saubhagya 80 and KD at 50. So we'll have the last question of the whole segment. What is the scoreline of the highest scoring game between these two clubs? What is the scoreline of the highest scoring game between these two clubs? 15 seconds. Go.
Stop.
Stop, guys. You have to show me the score line.
4-1, 4-4.
3-3.
Okay, the right answer is neither of that. It's 7-4 back in 1908. So one of the Liverpool players, I think Bill McPherson or someone who scored a hat trick in that. So 11 goals were scored in the match. This is more than 112 years old, that match. So
Yeah,
we
and it was
have
played in Anfield.
That was
It was
first.
played in Anfield.
the first win for Liverpool. First win for Liverpool against United. So that was a huge thing too. And I think whatever the score is today, it's 80 to Saubhagya and 50 to Krishna Dev over here. So I hope we can keep this scoreline on Sunday also. So well done, Saubhagya. You
Well
are
done, Saubhagya.
well played,
Don't
Krishna Dev,
remember,
by the way.
I think United will draw inspiration from the fact that we are away kings right now. So, See.
That's a plus
Yeah,
1 point for United. Yeah. So anyway, that was a good game, Anikinduda. I think we should just there's just a few minutes left
sure.
for the show. And before just I think both of you are like ardent FPL fans. You guys play FPL regularly and quite religiously. So we would want to have a take of FPL from both of you. Like who is your MVP in FPL whom you are never going to remove for the entire season? First thing. And a suggestion for all the people who are watching this show that who is a must for everyone's FPL team. Sabaki, over to you.
For game week 19.
For game week 19. I think Bamford is somebody you shouldn't remove at all if we consider forwards. And because I've held on to him for a long time. Other than Bamford, I think one player that I really all think that is consistent throughout FPL is Son. So yeah, I think those
Who
would be
is?
the
Sorry, we
Sorry?
didn't get the name.
Son.
Oh, sorry.
Son.
Yeah.
When Son. Okay.
Son is like that safe bet that हाँ ठीक है. Like when we have Salah on our teams, everybody captains Salah, so it's something like that.
And
So yeah, KD.
moving on to
Yeah.
Krishnadev. Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah. Same
I
thing.
think FPL must have. I think it has to be Bruno Fernandes because who he is and
Absolutely.
he gets points every day. I mean,
Son, Bamford,
Absolutely.
Fernandes, all three in my team.
and yeah, I think somebody. I'll just check the fixtures quickly for game week 19. Other than United Liverpool, I mean, it's a tough game to pick a captain from because of the
City is
fixture. I think
City is
playing-
having Newcastle and
it's a
Villa.
double game week. It's a double game week also.
Yeah, double game week.
So
Villa
I
and
don't know.
Newcastle.
I don't know. Then I think you can pick Son. I mean, pick Bruno Fernandes because it's Liverpool away and then it's Fulham at home or somewhere. So
Fulham at home.
Penalty anyway, so yeah, I think Bruno is.
VR has not been too kind lately. They've been taking away all the chances.
Look at that. Richest talk about not having a lot of food on their table. I mean, look at that.
Yes.
Oh my
So you're
God.
worried you're not gonna get 4 penalties in a match, is it that?
I have no club, but I am not saying that VR has been very kind on United this season.
We are watching a parallel
more
universe.
time, so you want penalty fest, right?
If it's a fair penalty, why not?
Yeah, all of them are fair if you ask a United fan, aren't they?
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
help my
I mean,
FPL, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think FPL wise, I think one player we should really, I mean, look forward. Yeah, as in Saubhagya said, Bamford is a pretty good option, and the other is I think either Dallas or Alioski from Leeds.
Alioski.
If they go-
Yeah,
if they go up front,
totally. Alioski.
they play higher than the last man. I mean, sometimes
And
even further than
even I'm not sure whether you guys have noticed there is another player called Struik who is costing 3.9 and he's starting regularly and also keeping clean sheets and going pretty high up for Leeds. So that is another good bet.
right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna buy him. I'm gonna sell a lot of random players I've purchased in the last 4-5 weeks. So I'm gonna redecorate my fantasy. Anyway, moving on. The game is on Sunday. We're going to go straight up into the prediction game right now. Krishnadev, what's your prediction for the Sunday game?
I think it's
A hopeful
going to
one
be
and
a
not an
draw.
honest one.
I think it's going to be a draw. I think Liverpool will
That
score
you're
first.
hoping for.
No, I think it will be a draw. I'm hoping for a win, but I think Liverpool will score first because they'll start better, and then United will soon get into the game as they do recently, and then find a way because of the lack in defense, Liverpool's defense.
Right. So Bhagya, your prediction for the game?
Want is United smashing, obviously 3-0 or 4-0. But if I'm too realistic, I think I'll take a 2-1 win.
2-1.
Yeah, I'm being
Fair
realistic.
enough. I think.
Fair
Yeah. I
enough.
mean, that's something that is like Liverpool not conceding goals, going for huge margin wins. It's not our Liverpool story this season. So staying put with the prediction game, Krishnadev, what's your take on United in all the three competitions? They are still there. So FA Cup, League, as well as the Europa League. So what's your take
Europa
on
League.
each one of those competitions?
Difficult to say at this point, but I mean, I think the fact that we have drawn Liverpool in the FA Cup, I'm not sure how either manager sees that game. I mean, with the number of injuries and fatigue that the players have had, so it depends on who plays that game. So, I mean, if either team, I mean, at least if United manages to go past Liverpool in the FA Cup and hopefully get a decent draw till the semi-final, that has been our kryptonite over the last couple of years. So I think, I mean, FA Cup is a realistic target. Other than that, Europa League wise, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's okay if you don't win the Europa League because we have won it in 2017. It's not like the Champions League. You need to win it every year. So I think if you would ask me, I'd rather prioritize the league than the Europa League. I mean, of course, we have to play decently well in the Europa League, but it doesn't mean that we have a free excuse that we are playing only youngsters in the Europa League and only focusing on the league. But the fact that I think I mentioned earlier that the fact that we have 36 points after 17 games should hold us in good stead and at least make sure that we finish in the top four
Top
easily
four.
and not crawl towards third place like last season. So
Right.
yeah, so maybe come February we'll have a clear picture.
So Bhagya, the same prediction for you on all the three competitions: Champions League, Premier League, and the FA Cup for Liverpool. Where do you see Arsenal finishing?
I think this season has obviously been a huge set of upsets and injuries for us. It's actually been something which we weren't prepared for because initially only after Van Dijk it was like a domino falling of injuries. Every one game I sneeze and there's an injury, so that has massively impacted our team. And I think I would obviously say that we prioritize the league because it is about the title retention, and there's so much talk going on about how we're supposed to attack the title and probably retain it. I think we have a good chance with the titles. I still believe that we can, if we just manage to, play better with, and we can recover through injuries. So with, I think Europa, I'm not sure. Sorry, FA Cup.
Champions League.
Champions League is like it's always a gamble because with UCL nights you never know. But I think Klopp is going to prioritize the league. But, so yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah, Champions League. Yeah, Champions League is going to be slightly difficult if we don't have crowds in Anfield. That is like
definitely.
outright honesty. Because we are struggling in games against West Brom. So that definitely is going to
Yeah,
be
Krishnadev has got something to say over here.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that while we talk about Liverpool and United respectively, I mean, in the league, at least domestically, we should not lose sight of City. I mean, nobody's talking about them right now. They have a game in hand, starting to play better football of late. Ahead of
and they
those
also
guys.
don't need crowds to they don't
Yeah,
need
I mean,
crowds to
yeah.
They are so used to
uplift them or boost them.
stadiums
That's their
anyway.
home environment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
They play
So-
lockdown football throughout their life.
I think we can
It
all
is-
agree that they have the best squad amongst all the three teams that we are discussing. So, so yeah, at least they have the best depth in terms of their squad.
Yeah,
And
depth I agree, but squad I think Chelsea has a better squad. Probably it is a different thing. It's not syncing up, but
Yeah.
in terms of quality, I think they are pretty much.
Chelsea are going to win the title. What are you saying? So many signings.
So we'll just have one more question. We have got one question from one of our guests just to conclude the show with. Transfer target for January, one player. Sabhagya, go. One player.
uh,
I don't think I can just pinpoint one player, but yeah, of course we have a terrible center back situation. It's so evident, but I highly doubt Klopp is going to make any signings. And if we've seen his recent press conferences and interviews, I don't think he's too keen on making any signings. So I'm not. I don't think we're going for it. Not so much.
Krishnadev, any signing from United?
looks unlikely, I guess. I mean, we just had Amad Diallo who's just joined. but he's a youngster who's technically a January signing anyway. But I'm not sure how much time he's going to get to play. Maybe the Europa League or FA Cup if we get past Liverpool. But we actually need somebody at centre back and a proper right winger. But I don't see it happening in January. Maybe in the summer. And maybe I think we can use this window to offload a few people, like send Lingard on loan, or Igalo is going back to China anyway. Maybe do something with Daniel James. Maybe send him on loan, whatever. I mean, the fringe players.
Right.
Krishnendu, what would be your one transfer target for Liverpool this window?
A defender. My target was Ben White. Let's get Ben White,
Ben
spend
White.
money, and just look after your English-grown defenders. And he's young, he's good. He's gonna be a cover for the next 6-7 years if you train him well. So
Ben White.
it's a
Ben White, yeah.
right.
I agree.
Ben.
But I think, like, if you ask me, no, I said if you just ask me, I think the best possible transfer would be just get Bruno Fernandes, and I think things will settle down at both ends.
If
The
we're
penalty is
actually-
guaranteed.
then I would like to say then we're getting Mbappe.
Yeah,
But
that
don't
mission
jinx
is still
it,
on.
don't jinx it.
Let
No,
us
don't do
not
that,
get
don't
into
do
that
that.
avenue.
Don't do that.
That
Please,
is
please, please save
that
us.
mission is still on.
Hashtag
Speaking of
Mbappe.
penalties, speaking of penalties, I just read a quote somewhere. I think ESPN had shared it, where Marcus Rashford said that a couple of years ago, when Mourinho was coach, he said to him that if he's not savvy enough in the box, then you won't get penalties. So probably that's what the mantra is: to be savvy in the box and get penalties. So according to
Not
Mourinho,
savvy.
so
Look at our Salah man. Always savvy. Nothing we are getting. All right. I think we are at the end of our show. We have reached. Anikinduda, any closing words from you?
Yeah, I guess I would just like to say everybody who's watching this, we are still in the pandemic situation, so take care of yourself, stay safe, enjoy matches, but try to, take all the safety precautions, measures, and all. And I guess this is shaping up to be a real good season. We have good old Manchester United and Liverpool rivalry back on course. So that is it pretty much, and hope for a great match at Anfield. A lot of goals, and hopefully Liverpool just pins United.
All right, we are at the end of our show. Thank you to both our guests and Anikinduda to be coming in, spending the evening with us. Thank you so much to all of you. Hopefully, we'll have a great match on Sunday. So, all the best, not to United, for Saubhagya and Anikinduda. So, so let's take it from here. So, all right, guys, thank you to our viewers for being with us, all your comments and all. Thank you and good night.
good night.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Thank you
Good
for
night.
having us. Good night.
Have fun.